What's going on, guys? Tony here. I know the podcast has been on a bit of a hiatus for a while, and even though that hiatus is now over, I'm still going to be stepping away from it for a bit, but Bill is going to be keeping it going with our good friend Matt. I just want to wish them the best of luck. I know they're going to have a lot of fun with it together. I miss you guys listening, and I hope everyone's doing well. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Like sitting here slapping my belly, so are the games of our lives. It's actually called belly drum, and it's a very important move for Azumarill to beat Tera Raids, so why are you making fun of me? And these are the games of our lives. Super Mario and Pokemon and all the games that took us to another place and made us want to keep playing all night. These are the games of our lives.
Welcome in, everybody, to Season 2 of the Games of Our Lives podcast. My name is Bill, and accompanied by me today is the brand new, absolutely wonderful, fantastic co-host of the show. And it brings me immense joy to be able to introduce him and to invite him into the Ghoul family. Folks, we have here my dear friend Matt. Matt, welcome in. Y'all may know him as Battlon on the internet.
Or to those more familiar with Twitch, Bat Lexington.
Bat Lexington. Sometimes if you're a Super Smash Brothers player, goes by a little name called Tempest. You may know him via that moniker right there. But Matt, welcome in. I'm so happy to have you co-hosting the show, The Games of Our Lives, Season 2. We're kicking it off strong.
Oh, I'm so excited. We're starting off with something pretty fantastic, too, so.
What game are we going to be talking about today? What is the game of the week?
Dr. Fizzwizzle's Animal Rescue, just kidding. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, something that we both have a lot to say about.
I cannot wait. And like what a better game to start off Games of Our Lives. For those who've been listening, y'all know this kind of skews towards Nintendo, although not every game we're going to talk about is going to be Nintendo. This week it's going to be Nintendo. So that's just how it's going to be today. But before we get to Pokemon Scarlet Violet, I wanted to talk to Battlon and talk about Battlon.
Ooh.
And catch people up who maybe aren't familiar with the history of Battlon in relation to me and in relation to gaming in general. But it all started back in the year 1989. No,
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, that's fair. No, Matt and I have been dear friends now for the better part of, I don't know, what are we looking at?
Oh my God.
Are we looking at like 15 to 20 years? Like
We're in that zone.
I mean, we graduated high school 15 years ago.
We were in study. Oh, don't say that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right, but the remaining hair just turned gray. We were in study hall. Was it freshman or sophomore year?
I think it was sophomore year. We had a study hall and then potentially also religion class.
Yeah, but the religion class was after, I think. I think the sophomore year, yeah, that was junior year. Sophomore year was the study hall. You had the soundtrack to Melee, and I saw you had that for some reason, and I freaked out. And yeah, from that point, it's kind of history. But I was like, whoa, fellow gamer nerd.
And yeah, and we ended up bonding over Super Smash Brothers specifically at first. And
then Risk and other fun games.
When we were, I want to say we were juniors in high school, we ended up partnering up for a project for one of our classes, and
that project was great.
It was so good. Can't even could not get away with it today.
Oh no!
And I think
no.
we'll leave it at that.
Yep.
But Matt came over to my house, and we spent a reasonable 15 to 30 minutes on the actual schoolwork.
Then proceeded to play video games for the rest of the time.
Yeah, the remaining 4 to 5 hours, we literally played video games. Upon graduating high school, Matt ended up going out of state for college. But on his way out, he left me with a gift, a little seed of inspiration. He said, hey, have you ever heard of this thing called Let's Plays? And I didn't at the time. I had no clue. I was like, I don't know what that is.
You had your own form of it. You were doing like the almost like a blog.
It was like a blog. It literally was a blog spot that I had where I was chronicling the video games that I was playing on a daily to weekly basis. And I would write up little blurbs about what I did in the games and stuff like that. And
that was the thing that made me find Let's Plays, by the way. I found that, and I was like, what other ways do people do this online? And that's how I found those. I don't know if I ever told you that.
No, this is the first time I'm hearing about this.
Yeah, I found out about Let's Plays because you had the blog spot. And I was curious,
gosh.
like, do people do this, like, talk shows and stuff, too? And I was curious, and I went on YouTube. And I had seen people do gameplay with recordings and stuff, but I had never, because like YouTube was pretty young.
Right. No, this is, 2007. YouTube only had just dropped in 2005.
Yeah, it was like still baby YouTube. And I found, I think it wasn't Nintendo Capri Sun? No.
It was Chugga Conroy.
Oh, no.
I think.
It was, I didn't find Chugga. Who was the guy? Oh my gosh, I can't believe
was it Voltage McGamer?
It was! That was the one! That was it! Yes! Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I remember
you just
had
unlocked memories that I forgot I had.
I vaguely remember you telling me to check out some guy named Voltage McGamer, but then
and Dark-Minded Sith.
And
because he was doing Legend of Zelda, but he did it like 4 separate times. He was doing Ocarina of Time, and then he was doing Ocarina of Time.
He big on Banjo-Kazooie as well.
Yeah. I basically stole their recording methods to make my first ones.
If I remember correctly, Voltage McGamer did a lot of like JRPGs.
Yeah, Golden Sun is the one that I found him for.
And I literally can't. I can't sit and watch other people play JRPGs. It's one of my character flaws that I'm trying to work on, but I couldn't do it. But weirdly enough, I started watching Chugga Conroy because of you. And
that's funny.
Mr. I Can't Watch JRPGs, I started watching his Earthbound Let's Play.
What was the first Chugga video I saw? Because like we used to make so many jokes because Chugga was like the popular Let's Player.
Right. And like he's the granddaddy.
Like opening Let's Play episodes with "It's Chugga Conroy," but like
blowing out your speakers times 1,000.
We were good at that. Why waste your talents?
Exactly. And end of 2007 rolls around, and I figure that my internet connection is good enough to exist. And then also I had a Packard Bell microphone from an old Windows 95 computer.
Oh my gosh. Did you have the one that was the the stick microphone on the little rectangle base that you could tilt up and down and it had the on-off button?
Listen, mine didn't have an on-off button.
I had
it was just always on as long as it was plugged in.
I had the first Logitech desktop, for a top of a desk, not a desktop computer, but just to put on top of a desk. Like it was a stand with a microphone. I think it was an HP or Logitech. It was super old.
Yeah, no, mine was like how computers in the 90s were like that off beige color. Not even off white, they were off beige.
It's such a 90s specific
They were
thing.
the color of a Super Nintendo that's been sitting in like your uncle who used to smoke a lot of cigarettes in the house
for just way too long.
That color of plastic, but that was their standard color. They're like, you can have 30-year-old cigarette smoke or black. Those are the two colors.
Oh my gosh. We had an E-Machines. That company doesn't exist anymore. And before that, we had a Gateway.
Yeah, we had a Packard Bell computer, and then I think we jumped right into Dell. Listen, big jump right there.
You went from a company that no longer exists to one that exists, so well done.
We're looking online to see what video games were being Let's Played, what video games weren't being Let's Played. And, we saw that Generation 3 of the Pokemon games was was not really being Let's Played at the time.
Which was weird because it became the most Let's Played franchise, period.
Right. Oh,
very
yeah,
fast.
by a country
like
mile.
Shortly after us. I think that might have actually been the reason why people found us relatively early back in Let's Play days.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I was doing Superstar Saga. That was my first one. I was recording that in my dorm room. Oh my god, that was like the most haggard setup ever. I had. Do you remember that setup?
Dude, I do remember that setup.
That first setup was I was recording the game audio and my audio on a built-in microphone in a laptop.
I mean,
and then I had the audio recorder separate because I was like, all right, I need to be able to balance the two sources. And the computer that I had, literally because I was on Vista, wouldn't allow me to use stereo mix. Oh, it was
the problems of like old school Let's Playing knows no bounds.
They were like the Wild West of like YouTube, and it was just like there were no good guides. Like Voltage had a video that was like, here's how I use was it Cam Studio?
Cam Studio or Camtasia Studio?
I still have Camtasia. Camtasia's good. Cam Studio, though, you couldn't do separate audio inputs. You had to use stereo mix. Oh, it was a mess. Hypercam, unregistered Hypercam, everyone's favorite.
Don't talk smack about unregistered Hypercam because
in Windows Movie Maker.
Oh my gosh! Like you literally would have to. Our setup was literally we would download an emulator of a game and we would literally screen cap the game, but then try to finagle a different audio source to pick up our microphone.
Because it was necessary.
Because you literally had to. And then you're like, this is some quality content, 240p, let's go, killing the game.
And that's assuming we even recorded it in 240p and it wasn't scaled to it.
I'm pretty sure like we didn't even necessarily get the dimensions correct. It was more like...
No, at first we didn't.
We're just recording the screen.
Right, whatever the emulator set the screen to is what we did. And then after that, we got Dazzles. Actually, before the Dazzle, we did the DVD Let's Play.
Oh my god, the fabled DVD Let's Play. So,
where you played through the entirety of Banjo-Kazooie in my basement. And we ripped it off of the DVDs. And we didn't record the audio for playing through the game.
I don't know how we did it.
We did post-commentary for the entire thing. Because we realized after the first like couple episodes, it was just off.
Right, because the video would have there were dropped frames, which back in the day, dropped frames were as common as a rat-a-tat on Route 1. It's just the drop frames make the videos end up being about, like for a 10-minute video, you're looking at a video being maybe 30 seconds shorter.
Right, so all the audio is off.
You lose your sync within a minute or two, and you're like, wait, something here's not quite right.
But you're missing the best part. The best part was we were going to use the digital like recorder that I used, but the batteries died. They died after we got through our first recording, so we were like, okay, we're going to have to sync it up. But we were like super dedicated back then. So we were willing to slog through and edit it, but the batteries died on the digital recorder. So we hit record. You played for 2+ hours, nothing. So we had the video and no audio. So at that point, we were like, whatever, we'll just like speed run through the rest of the game and we'll do post-recording, post-commentary.
I can't believe that we literally made a DVD Let's Play. Out of necessity, really.
Is a thing of beauty.
Matt and I have probably done, I don't know, 30-ish Let's Plays together, 20 to 30 in that window.
Oh, it's been a lot.
You know, counting like the short games and one-off stuffs, we're probably pushing 30 there. You know, notably we played, Pokemon Gold, Pokemon Soul Silver, did Mario RPG, some Banjo-Kazooie action, what else, dude? Banjo-Tooie. Listen, I remember the nights. There were nights where Matt would come over to my house, or I would go to Matt's house, and, call it a sleepover, call it a slumber party, call it what you will. The real answer, it was Matt and I being awake until sometime in the 5 to 6 a.m. window.
I think that was probably...
That was us trying to bang out Mario RPG and or Banjo-Tooie.
I think that one was mostly Mario RPG.
And that was...
Yeah, that was a really reckless decision, too, considering what I had to do literally the next day.
Was it because you had to go back to school and it was like the last chance you had before you could go back to school?
Yeah, I literally was driving the next day.
It was absolutely... we were reckless.
What's that?
But all
you got 3 hours of sleep? Sweet. Here's your 5.5 hour car ride.
At 6 p.m. the night before, we would go to Dunkin' Donuts. We'd each order like 3 coffees. We'd drink 1 now and have 2 to coast through the night, plus snacks. And
we probably kept that local, was that a CVS or Walgreens? Whatever it was, we kept it in business.
Oh, you know that Walgreens was looking like, oh, the boys are back. Let's go, baby. We in the net black tonight. Let's go.
We like emptied the entire candy aisle. That's how we found Lemonheads and friends. Who knew they had so many friends? I had no idea.
Tons of friends. Although I was a gobstopper boy. That was my Gobstoppers and Reese's Pieces, man. I could go through those all day.
It's fun recounting all these different things.
And there's plenty of more stories to tell. I can't wait because I know we're going to be talking about a handful of the Let's Plays that we've done as games of our lives, and they are going to be chef's kiss fantastic. But Matt, welcome to the show. Are you ready to dive into the news?
Absolutely.
So the format of the show, for those who are longtime listeners, we're not really changing things up too much. Alrighty. We even got Tony on the intros still, so he's not gone. He's here, both in our hearts and literally as part of the show.
Which I'm really thankful for, honestly.
Yeah, I'm so happy. I was actually texting him earlier today, and he sent me this long, written out, really thoughtful message, just basically thanking me, thanking the listeners of the show for really, making him enjoy season 1 of the Games of Our Lives so much. He said, I'm not writing this as a goodbye. It's just more of a see you later. And he's happy to be still part of the show. So this is all good vibes for everyone.
He's secretly a Pokemon trainer, because that sounds like Pokemon story plot right there.
It really might be. Tony, thank you for your 1.5 of hard work and dedication. I know a weekly show is a big commitment, and I don't think that this show in its new format is going to be weekly. We're going to try to record maybe, 1 or 2 episodes a month and kind of go from there, and that's how we're going to do it. But let's jump into the news. First thing, we got to talk about it. We're going to rip the Band-Aid off. And y'all already know that there's one franchise that I'm a forever hater of. You can't get me to do it. You can't get me to do it. Listen, I'll play any other franchise that looks like an anime. Listen, I loved Xenoblade Chronicles. Alrighty? I said it. Xenoblade Chronicles, awesome.
I will never understand.
Final Fantasy, that's great stuff right there. Fire Emblem. Ugh, gross. Yucko bucko. It's like cooties, but video games.
And not for lack of effort, because I literally forced you.
I own 4
to play one of them. You own copies of multiple games specifically because I forced you to.
I think I own 4 different Fire Emblems. Yes, okay. And I even, let's see, I own not the newest one that came out today. Today? Yesterday?
It's today.
Fire Emblem Engage for the Nintendo Switch. The latest main entry in Fire Emblem. First of all, not knowing anything about the game, I think Fire Emblem Engage is such a mid-title compared to previous Fire Emblem titles. I will say
it sounds like a Star Trek title.
Fire Emblem Engage. I thought it was a spin-off. It literally, the title makes it sound like a spin-off.
Yeah, this is the first one I'm not buying immediately on release since Shadows of Valencia, and that's because Shadows of Valencia was a bad game. I got told not to buy it by my brother.
A tier name, though. Shadows of Valencia.
I know, what a waste of an amazing title. And supposedly there's some really good story stuff going on in there, too, but the gameplay was like, hi, I'm walking through a cave, and it's like, that's not the game we signed up for.
So, Fire Emblem Engage, you play as Penny from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and you use your sword to meet Marth, your dad. I don't know. I'm just making it up.
Or alternatively, Femboy Penny. You have two options.
Oh, you can be a male or female pro tag?
As far as I know. Unless I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you can. I'm pretty sure they had the Colgate/Crest colors for both.
The Colgate colors, not the Colgate hair.
Literally.
Oh no.
The pro tag makes a comment about their hair pretty early in the game apparently, and like makes fun of themselves, and it's like, oh wow, all right, at least the writers get it.
A little self-awareness there.
I'm hoping it's as good as everyone's been saying so far that I've heard. Everyone I've heard talk about it says that it's the most like well animated, and like the presentation is the best.
Right.
And that's important. I'm scared about being the Colgate Mafia boss wearing rings like Kiss the Ring, oh, by the way, Celica's here now, or Ike. Although Ike's in it, so that kind of just skyrockets the value of the game.
We do like Ike. I'm going to say this as someone who is got zero interest in the game. I bet the gameplay loop is just as good, if not better, than previous Fire Emblems. I feel like, Fire Emblem fans are you probably know what you're walking into gameplay wise. So if it's really the gameplay that you're after over, I don't know, really interesting choices in hair, then you're probably gonna be fine playing the game.
They went from like green to lighter green transition to literally Colgate toothpaste. Like, I don't understand.
It's literally cosplay fodder. Like, let's call it what it is.
I can't wait to see people cosplay that, because I don't understand how you're going to make a wig that has the colors. Like, that is going to be so much effort. And the hair isn't smooth. It's like the Dragon Ball / Dragon Quest. I just realized that they both have dragon in the name. Style hair where it's like clumps.
I am waiting for the ultimate cosplay, which is going to be Chip Skylark as the Fire Emblem Engage MC, and it's
gonna be great. I'm gonna leave that one to you.
Shout out to my shiny teeth and me.
Oh yeah, well done.
Alrighty, speaking of anime games, there's another set of anime games on the Nintendo Switch. I have a higher percentage chance of playing this franchise than I do of playing Fire Emblem, although that percentage is still pretty low. But Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Golden, I believe, are now available on the Nintendo Switch. I own Persona 5. I started playing it, and then like a really stupid like platformer game came out, and I said, nope, gotta go with the stupid platformer, baby. I can't deal with these kids.
Now I'm really curious what game that was.
Persona 5 Royal.
No. The platformer.
Oh, I don't know. I get very easily distracted, but it might have been Yooka-Laylee. Listen, I will drop a baby to go play Super Mario if it's brand new. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying it's morally correct. I'm just saying it's
As a parent, I can say it probably is. I think that might be the right call. Like, just make sure there's something soft first below you.
If somebody said, Bill, you can play Super Mario Odyssey 2 day -1, but in order to do so, you're going to have to drop a baby from like 3 feet up.
I would consider catching COVID specifically to make me not be at work for that. If I'm being honest.
Honestly, like, work should just accept like faked death notes. Like, hey, I'm calling out dead.
Listen, this is necessary. This is more essential than your health. We get it.
Just fake your death. Say like, I'm sorry, I died in a meteor crash. I will be in work on Monday.
That makes it sound like you're riding the meteor. That's some dedication.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they should just be more impressed than anything else.
Wow, how did you get on there? Yes, I hired NASA. Mark Rober himself launched me onto the asteroid that launched me into Earth.
I hired
Appreciate it.
Beffrey Jezos, and he took me on an asteroid ride that I'll never forget. But I died, and I won't be in work until Monday. Thank you.
I don't think I could bring myself to do anything with Jeffrey Bezos.
That's why I said Beffrey Jezos.
We don't talk about him.
Any thoughts on Persona games? Have you played them at all?
Gun.
Smash
That's
does not count. Fair.
Joker is definitely one of the protagonists of Ultimate, though. He's really good. I just think it's really funny that there is a move that's literally called Gun.
It's just called Gun.
And they in Smash chose apparently the worst Persona.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people really enjoyed Persona 5, and I think...
Oh, no. Persona 5 is an amazing game. I'm saying they chose, like, the one that he has as his stand or whatever.
Oh, his
stand.
Oh, his actual persona.
They picked the one that you get at the beginning of the game that everyone benches immediately, apparently.
Oh, that's funny. He looks cool as heck, though. I'm not gonna lie.
He's got a nice top hat.
Yeah, what's not to love? Hating on top hats.
And Gun.
All right, let's jump away from the anime for a minute. And we'll talk about a different game with a character with red and blue hair. Quick little update regarding Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. The next 7-star Tera Raid was announced, and it is going to be a Poison-type Greninja.
Oh, it's going to be a lot harder.
That's going to be hard. You're not going to be able to just...
I think it was smart, though, to have the first two be easier because the game was new. Like, having like, just, like, de facto counters for the first couple was charitable. Because there's no way. Like, I didn't even get to do the Charizard one just because of time. But I was ready enough with your help to do the Cinderace one. And I went through it both times.
I just love the irony that the single great move that is a hard counter to both of those two first Tera Raids, the Charizard and the Cinderace, is a broken move that doesn't work. Talking about Play Rough. Play Rough is a 90 power fairy type physical move that when you're in a Tera Raid, the game bugs out and doesn't know how to manage the HP correctly. So you'll do the attack. It may show you take off about half of the health, but when you see the health meter again after that damage, it's like you only did about a quarter of what you showed.
Oh, that happened to me today where I literally knocked out the entire HP bar, and then I was like, surprised there's a shield and it's a third of its health. And I was like, what?
Yeah, so there is a functionality patch coming in February that they announced.
It's supposed to fix that and a bunch of other things.
Right, so we'll kind of wait and see what that does fix. I'm sure they have to like patch a bunch of stuff with Pokemon Home coming into play.
Oh my gosh, that's a separate topic on its own. That's so exciting.
Oh my gosh, and we'll talk about it as we get more information on that. But yeah, Greninja 7-star, baby. I don't even know what Pokemon's going to be the guy, but I'm happy that Azumarill's not going to be the guy a little bit.
It hurts me because I love that. But at the same time, it'll be nice to use either. I'm thinking Gastrodon or Clodsire. I've been prepping those.
I think I may go Quagsire, but I don't. It's.
I feel like that's the trio. You want something that absorbs water moves or is resistant to it,
right?
And you want it to be ground type because you don't want it to be psychic type because it'll get wrecked by. I'm assuming the dark move that they give Greninja.
Right, and the thing is, you know, you need some. There's so many builds that are out right now because there's a lot of people just trying to like set up like one-turn sweep builds.
I don't think that's gonna work this time.
I mean, TBD. People were able to single move sweep Cinderace by using Slowbro's stored power.
Right, but that one didn't require you to be off type.
That's fair.
So now, if you want to type match the Greninja moves, you're not going to be able to use the same type Tera type. And then when you same type Tera type, you are naturally countered by the natural moves of Greninja.
All right, time to just Rage Fist Annihilate. Call it a day.
Hey, that's definitely sitting in my back pocket as an option.
honestly, Rage Fist Annihilate can clear 6-star raids on his own pretty consistently.
Yeah, I have the holy trio of that, Iron Hands, and Azumarill, and the three of them kind of just rotate through. And then every once in a while, I pick something that I want to make work, like my Lokix.
I have to say, I entered a raid tonight, right before we started recording this. We're recording this on Friday, by the way. And it was a 6-star Among Us Tera Raid.
Yep.
And I accidentally locked in. I always try to make it a habit to be the last person to lock in, so I can dip at the last second if I don't like my teammates. Which, it sounds scummy. It sounds scummy, but I should have done it this time, and let me tell you why. What type of Pokemon is Among Us?
Grass Poison.
Wouldn't you know, it was me and one other person. It was a ghost type Among Us. So I'm like, all right, let's get Rage Fist Annihilate with safety goggles on lock. Like, take care of business. Let's go. So I get that going. The other guy has a King Gambit. So I'm like, this is great. Let me just lock in now because I'm like, we got 2 people.
That sounds good so far, but I'm waiting for, like...
You already know what the next 2 Pokemon are that jumped in and immediately locked in.
I know it's probably...
Against a grass poison type. Who's getting one-shotted because they belly drummed into an energy ball?
Oh, no.
That's right. 2 Azumarills came in.
That's literally double type matched. That's like the perfect type match.
Right. And not only, yeah, like you lose to the grass, you lose to the poison, just because it's like one of your 3 level 100 Pokemon.
That's just...
Like I think as a host,
that's awful.
As a host, this is what Game Freak should add as a host thing. You should be allowed to kick people out of your raid. If you are the host, you should be allowed to say...
I think that would be reasonable because I like picking things that are like off meta because that's just what I do.
That's literally your brand.
Yeah, that's how I qualified for the Invitational for Magic. That's how I managed to like almost get ranked in Brawl. Like, these are just the things I do. But I'll actually come up with a build and test it myself before I go into a random raid because I don't want to like ruin it for someone else. There have been raids that I went into and I sat there and I was like, you picked one of the meta choices and still somehow failed. How did you do this? I have a Glamora. Why am I the one saving us right now? It shouldn't be me and my Lokix saving the Iron Hands from the freaking... I'm blanking on the flying electric type.
Listen, I don't even go against that Pokemon because it's just busted in Tera Raids straight up.
That and Corviknight are just like, why do you exist?
The bird Pokemon Tera Raids are just the hardest Tera Raids.
The other one that's really annoying is I was really annoyed by Slacking and by Hippowdon.
Slacking and Hippowdon just have a ton of HP. Kilowattrel.
That's what it is. Thank you, Kilowattrel.
The problem with Kilowattrel is that it has competitive, which is like whenever it has a stat that's lowered, it raises its special attack by 2 levels, and Kilowattrel has an absurd special attack and speed stat as it is.
But it can get like... Tailwind isn't what you're looking for in a Tera Raid. It's so fast.
It is very fast. It is very fast. You basically just have to be a hard counter for it.
Which is exactly
Sandy
rock
Shocks.
type.
It's the answer is almost always for bird Pokemon. It's Sandy Shocks. It's ground electric, and the
unfortunate reality of it also being flying type is that you're left with off type moves then.
Yeah, if you're gonna do Kilowattrel, you probably want to be on a team with somebody that's got either Skill Swap or Worry Seed.
I like the Roly-Poly line. Like,
oh yeah,
that one's not bad. The problem with that is that a bunch of them will just like no close combat, and you're like, great, well, all right, that happened.
Yeah, I mean, Colossal has a lot of weaknesses, but is also just like a cool Pokemon, like Rock Fire.
Yeah,
You know,
I have a relatively long list of things that I use because I like picking the ones that I think are cool, but they're not good for lots of things. Like oh look, it's good for this type or that Pokemon.
Right.
Or something.
But
yeah,
listen, we're going to dive into more Tera Raids talk a little bit later.
sounds good.
We got a couple more pieces of news to get through. We're still in the news segment? What's going on here?
Listen, we had a long intro. We were talking shop about history.
Facts. Facts on facts.
The game of the week was YouTube.
By the way, if we recorded an episode about a month and a half, 2 months ago, we may have talked about this game as a game that just came out, but guess what? It's on sale now. It's a banger. Did pretty poorly in the video game box office, and that is Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope.
I don't understand why. It's such a good game.
It's great. I mean, it's the sequel to Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which came out in 2017 on the Switch, and it's just, more Mario and Rabbids, which is just a great turn-based tactical RPG.
Yeah, it's literally Mario Rabbids XCOM. It's great.
Right, it's super fun, and it's on sale for $40. But I mean, Ubisoft tends to put games on sale ASAP as it is. So
Yep.
if you were holding out for a sale, now's a great time to pick it up. So definitely grab it if you haven't already and are interested in playing the game. All right, 2 more pieces of news here.
Yep.
We've got a television show debuted on HBO, and it is The Last of Us.
Oh, this is foreshadowing. You don't know this yet, but you're foreshadowing.
Okay, I have not seen it yet, but I am excited, and I think I'm going to do my homework and watch, the episodes as they come out, because I did play The Last of Us games, and they were pretty compelling games, and their stories are what made them, and I'm really interested. Plus, you've got the Mandalorian as the main character, which is pretty fire.
Oh my gosh, he's so good.
Have you seen The Last of Us debut?
I have not. I saw a couple of like clips
Okay.
for like the like press info stuff that they were like pushing before the show came out, and I was just like, they actually did a really good job of casting this, I think.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Have I watched it? No. So do I know if the show as a whole is good? No. But I have heard multiple people tell me already they really like it. So
Yeah, no, I'm excited to dive into it, and I'll have a full report, for our next episode for sure. Last piece of news, and this one just made me like chuckle because it's ridiculous, but I feel like it has to be talked about because this is an important moment in video gaming history, competitive gaming history. This week there was a Dota 2 tournament. Dota 2 is a video game for sweaty tryhards who want to go fast. I'm just kidding.
No
I'm just kidding.
No respect.
I'm just kidding. People who play MOBAs do deserve respect, just like any other gamer would.
I just want you to realize you said that out loud. It's recorded now.
You know how
important to remember. You're gonna have to double down on this later.
you know how hard I wanted to go psych. MOBA fans, go home. Just kidding. All video games are valid, but not to me. And I think that's fair. I don't like them.
That's fair.
I don't like them.
That's fair.
But it doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that they're not right for me. But at a Dota 2 tournament, and this just makes me want to play Dota 2 more, there was a player, a professional player. His name is Skitter. And the rules at a professional video game tournament say you can't go to the bathroom mid-set, right? And let's be real, that's kind of true of all competitive events.
This story is so good.
You can't go pee-pee during a live. You can't be like, timeout, I gotta go tinkle. So what did the homie do? Homie had to use a bottle and peed in a bottle at the tournament to keep the play alive. And And like I saw some like wild takes on the internet. People are like, "Wow, do people think competitive gaming is like working at an Amazon warehouse, like being forced to pee in a bottle?" And I'm like, not for nothing. Not going to the bathroom during a competitive situation. Guess what? It's your fault, man.
You could have just gone before you.
And even if you did go before, you're an athlete, right? If you play competitive games, you're an athlete. As an athlete, it's your responsibility to train your body to not have to go pee-pee when you got to take over jungle or however MOBAs work. I don't know what jungle means.
You just used the term properly in a sentence, Bill. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I hate that. Hate that I used that correctly.
What's your job if you're jungling, Bill?
What's your job if you're jungling? Eating all the bananas. You kidding me? You're going gobble, gobble, yum, yum, yum. It's bananas and Coke with coffee, baby. That's the life for me. I don't know what junglers do. You
take camps and you basically recruit units that will go fight on the lanes for you.
I don't know what how does that equate to jungling?
The things that you fight are in the jungle areas. They're covered in grass. Listen, I didn't invent Dota.
Where I'm from, it's called tall grass. Okay?
I did not invent the terms. Dota. Do you know what the first boss of the first Dota was?
A Goomba.
Oh no, the first boss wasn't in English, and in order for you to play the game, you had to figure out how to navigate the menus in another language. That was what Jeremy said. Jeremy was like, the first boss of the game was so tough, and I was like, what are you talking about,
The first
Jeremy?
boss is mastering
and he was like,
a different language.
No, seriously, like the first boss was probably one of the hardest bosses I've ever played in video games. And this is coming from a person who is like, hi, I can actually beat Sans.
What language did the original Dota
I think it was like Russian or something. I forget what it was, but he was just
God.
like, I didn't know what any of those things meant.
The first boss is the Russian language.
Yeah, apparently. I don't
Hitting you with that Slav squad of letters. You're like, I don't know what a backwards R is all about, but all I know is that there's a jungle in there, and I gotta go bushwhacking and pee in a cup.
Carry on.
So Matt, I gotta ask you, like, what are your thoughts on having to use the bathroom during a tournament? Should you be allowed to, or is his bloodline weak?
Oh, wow, that's a loaded question. I mean, there have been Magic tournaments that I was at where there wasn't time between rounds because it was like late in an event or something. And we were in like effectively the playoff part of it, where you're in like the top 8 or whatever.
Yep.
Usually, if you like ask the judge, like, I just need to go pee really quick, they're gonna be like, all right, cool. If it was not that, you're in for a little bit of a struggle. And I don't want to share any weird information with the internet, but I had to go to the bathroom during a tournament once, and I had to sit there and kind of just grin and bear it. Wow. And I definitely did not play as well as I otherwise would have, because I was thinking about, how do I get away from the table without getting disqualified?
This guy is a gamer over here.
But I managed. If it's like life or death, then you make the smart choice and you don't let your bladder burst.
I genuinely don't know how long of a game of Dota takes.
Oh, man. There's a wide range.
Are we talking like 1 to 2 hours? Are we talking?
No, but the problem is when you're playing a game like that in a tournament, you're on stage, and it's basically like, imagine like a concert setup, right? But instead of speakers for like instruments, you have computers lined up in rows for the two teams, right? So you're at this long table, basically, that's usually diagonally offset from the other one. So you're sort of facing them. And you're all sitting there, and once you start, the process takes a while because you have multiple rounds to play through, right? But also, you have to draft your team. So, like, you have to take turns banning characters, selecting your characters, and, like, it takes a while to do that. So, the stretch of time that you have to wait can be a long period of time. But this isn't the first Dota tournament that's happened. And this is common knowledge. I don't even play Dota, but because I played Heroes of the Storm, I know this. It's not a thing that should realistically happen unless you're like severely diabetic.
Right.
I can't, like, I don't know. That's my take. My sister has Crohn's and manages to like compete at national tournaments, and oftentimes is just like kind of in agony and is still like, yep, I have to play on stream now against another player of the same or higher caliber, and I'm gonna do it.
But I'm sure your sister also, because she is aware of her body and everything, she does
plans.
Things right. She plans and prepares herself in a way where she sets herself up for success. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like this was the failing at the 5 Ps. Ironic given the context of him peeing.
I mean, he only gave you 2 of them, and people
planning prevents piss performance.
That's
in this
right.
Case? Is that how this works this time?
Listen.
Oh man, I still can't believe this story is real, but it's just.
I saw it and I couldn't not include it because it's such a silly story.
Poetic.
What's that?
It's just poetic. It's just
it's gorgeous.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine being one of his teammates sitting right next to him? I just take it all in. All right, actually, don't.
Yeah, choose those words wisely, please.
Yeah, phrasing. Moving on.
So, folks, that is the news of the week. What are your thoughts on peeing in a bottle during a tournament? Should you be allowed to do it? Should you be forced to hold it in? Let us know on Twitter at Games of Our Pod, because golly,
should you be publicly shamed?
Yeah. The answer is yes.
I don't know, man. I kind of.
It's not whether they should be publicly shamed. You feel bad for the kid.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's not a fun position to be in.
But also,
it is just so funny though. I just can't.
the what's the work? Yo, all right, I got a suggestion. Last little thing on this. I got it. New competitive workaround. Ooh, spacesuit's not a bad idea. I was gonna say urinary catheter.
That's basically the spacesuit.
It's basically the spacesuit. I mean, new meta catheters, so you can out piss your opponents. And
is there a separate stat for output? You just have it on the screen that you have the on the HUD you just have a yellow meter.
Stop. That's no, we're getting now we're getting into advanced metrics and stuff. It's when Skitter,
I'm a scientist, I can't stop, Bill.
When Skitter voids
you get pH meters
150 or more mils per hour, his clicks per minute goes up by 30%. That's the kind of baseball statistics we're going to end up in video games. Clicks per minute.
You can get PPS.
Compared to piss per second. It's a whole...
Well done. All right.
It's too powerful. I just say ban MOBAs, and then the world just gets better.
I abstain.
People aren't going to pee in bottles if you can't go to a Dota 2 tournament.
The rest of the internet just said challenge accepted.
All right, well, moving on to the game of the week.
There we go.
Folks, the game of the week is, it's not even like we normally talk about games from our past, our youth. The thing about Pokemon is it's past, present, and future in our lives. It is ever present.
What a great segue.
Omnipresent. And it is just it's just home. I've been
another
watching...
segue. Bill, did you plan this? Past, present? Is this some sort of paradoxical situation you find yourself in?
Listen, I find myself confused very often and put myself in paradoxical situations all the time, such as challenging Jesus Christ himself to microwave a burrito so hot that he himself could not eat it. But that's a totally different segment for the Theology Podcast episode.
I think my brain just melted a little bit.
So did the burrito.
Yeah. Now I want a burrito.
But we're talking, folks, about the brand new Nintendo Switch Instant Classic, which is Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, a buggy, flawed nightmare that might be the best Pokemon game to have ever come out.
It's crazy that in the year 2023, after multiple generations in a row of me just being this game is just not... the DLC made me like Sword and Shield. I was very disappointed by it.
Pokemon fatigue in 2021 was incredibly real.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know when Pokemon fatigue started for you. For me, I want to say it was at X and Y.
I think for me it was Black 2, White 2. Actually, it might have just been Black White.
That's fair.
I didn't do any of the post-game stuff in Black and White.
I don't think I did either. I don't think...
I think I got to, like... I think I did end story and then stopped.
I genuinely just, did the story for whatever Let's Play I was working on at the time, and then called it quits. It was weird. There was like a nice little 8-year window where Pokemon games they weren't hitting. I don't know if it was...
And the worst part is they introduced so many things that I thought were so smart, and I still, X and Y, I think they did a really good job with, what was the name of the city, the central city? I'm blanking. It's a level in Ultimate.
Oh, in X and Y, the large city is called...
Lumio? No. It's not Lumios.
Lumios City?
Is it Lumios?
Lumios is the one with the Eiffel Tower, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That city was amazing. I got so immersed in that city. I thought it was amazing. And the whole roller skates control, being able to move faster without it just being the running thing, making an alternative to that running in the bike. There were a bunch of things that were so cool about that game, and I could not finish it.
Yeah,
I mean Mega Evolution was dumb, but anyways.
I think Mega Evolution was kind of cool.
It had the potential to be cool, but they just did such a bad job at balancing it that it was congratulations, 3 of these are actually good. All the other ones are really bad. Also,
my biggest gripe with it is that it was just digivolving.
I was fine with that, honestly. I was not fine with the fact that they made some weird selection choices where they were we're going to not give that thing a Mega. And it's why? You gave so many other things Megas, and you were intentionally leaving out a bunch of awesome things.
Not for nothing, Game Freak decided that Medicham, of all Pokemon, deserved a Mega, when the only thing that Pokemon deserves is a trash can.
I'm not going to lie. Medicham is one of the only Pokemon that I've multiple times been this would be perfect for my team. Anyways, moving on.
It's so incredibly hyper mid. That even
it's
a Mega
not even
form.
mid. It's it makes mid look exciting. It's just the most boring thing. And this is coming from somebody who one of my favorite Pokemon in the 3DS era was Alolan Muck,
which is such a cool Pokemon.
Right, the Alolan forms. That's another thing in Sun and Moon. They did that was a brilliant idea. Hey, let's take these Pokemon, make regional variants. Alolan Marowak, one of my favorite Pokemon. Just hands down, the flavor and
it's so good. It's so good. I mean, Alolan Muck is incredible. You got
Alolan Raichu,
Galarian Weezing, which is a chef's kiss.
Objectively, one of the best Pokemon ever because he has the world's largest. He is Doug Dimmadome.
He's literally Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome, and you Dimmadome mess with that.
Yeah, you Dimmadome.
Now, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet came out in November of 2022, and it is the 9th installment of Pokemon, essentially. And with it comes the first fully open world exploration in a Pokemon game, where you truly can go anywhere in this world.
Yep. It made even better because of the jumping trick where you can climb mountains when you're not supposed to be able to.
Listen, you can climb mountains, you can clip through to the bottom of the sea. The world is your burrito.
The world is built like a burrito. It falls apart really fast.
It does fall apart real fast. But I will say this. The workaround that Game Freak had for this, where if you ended up in a situation where you either out of bounds did yourself or you got stuck, the game would reset your character within 5 seconds, and you're back to doing whatever it is that you were doing. And
they also had the smart addition of if you fall off a cliff or something, you could just hit the button to go back up. They did a couple of things to work around it. What that tells me though is that they knew it was messed up, and rather than fix it, they were This is a feature now.
Right. This is, we decided it would be cool to rescue you if you got stuck by choice.
Because as far as I know, that never existed in a different Pokemon game.
I will say this, though. I think Game Freak, I don't know if this is the right phrase, but they bit off a lot more than they thought they could chew by making an open world game. Now, I'm no stranger to open world games. I've played my, Fallouts and Grand Theft Autos. And tell me what's like one of the number one things when those games first come out? What are the things that players talk about regarding those open world adventures?
Infinite glitches.
It literally infinite glitches.
You know what my favorite Grand Theft Auto thing is? It's like the only thing that I remember actually caring about.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto 3,
Okay.
I want to say. Where you could take the tank and fly around the island if you turn the tank backwards.
That's pretty incredible.
You could just like... You fly off of an on-ramp to the highway, turn the cannon backwards, and then shoot off the ground, and then like preload and launch and shoot at the same time.
Oh, as long as you kept up your pace, you would literally fly.
I forget if you needed like one of like the
like a low gravity or something like that.
Yeah, you may have needed the low gravity, but you could literally fly around the island.
That's insane.
Using the tank.
It's
it was
beautiful.
Great.
I think my favorite Grand Theft Auto like glitch of all time was in Grand Theft Auto 4. You're in Liberty City as the homie Nico Bellic, and there's a playground in the game, and in this playground is a swing set, and I don't know what caused this swing set to have some magical superpowers, but if you were to rest a vehicle against this swing set, it would launch your vehicle in the air.
Sure did.
About like a half a mile. And I remember, Matt and I actually had a friend growing up, Matt, who had the game, and we did this at his house where we would take turns trying to get just ridiculous air from riding the swing set and just flinging ourselves in different vehicles and trying to just get as much goofy shenanigans as possible with that. What we're trying to say is glitches can be fun, and they're not.
Oh, they can.
They're not all bad. They're not all good either.
The glitches did not stop the game from being playable, though, and that's the part that mattered. Is like watching Shinxes and Luxios like fall through a mountain and then disappear into nothingness while you're battling them.
Hilarious.
Funny. Like, what am I attacking right now? Oh, look, it's underground. Oh, look, I'm underground now. But we're somehow still battling. Or like, where did the game decide to put me? I'm on a cliff. Why? Because that's where the game decided to put me.
Right. I'll always remember I was facing against a Paradox Pokemon in the final area, and the final area is a large cave with a handful of like twisting, overhanging paths. And I got into a battle with it, but when you get into battle, you and the Pokemon you encounter kind of jump away from each other to kind of set up a stage of battle. And the Pokemon I was fighting jumped off a cliff. So I was fighting a Pokemon that was 100 yards. Yeah, I was like shadowboxing with a Pokemon that had already doomed itself. And
good thing there's no fall damage.
Right, took no fall damage, unfortunately. I was like, man, I could really use the help here.
Got robbed.
Shame. I was trying to weaken him to catch it, too. It was really silly. The game is great. It starts off in the classic, you have the only house in the entire world. And
that's not true. There's dorm rooms. The dorm rooms are there. That's the one building you can go inside and do things.
It's the one building besides your home that you're allowed to go into, not counting gyms and Larry's restaurant, the homie. But this game takes a slightly different approach to its storytelling than previous titles. Previous titles would kind of have one flow of a story that kind of encompassed you as your player trying to collect the 8 gym badges And along the way, you would encounter, a team of villainous characters, rival trainers, and different obstacles along the way. This game kind of gives you 3 paths to kind of take, and to beat the game, you do have to take all 3 paths eventually. But it really says, here you go, do what you want. There's a recommended order of
right, and
way
they don't
things.
tell you the recommended order though, which is what's so interesting to me.
If I'm not mistaken, there are NPCs that kind of push you in the right direction.
You can talk to like Nurse Joy or whatever they call them in the game, but
Right.
Nurse Joy recommended me to go fight the next thing geographically, which was not the next thing in terms of levels. Like I had beaten the first gym, and it was like, why don't you go take on Fire Lady now? And I was like, got it, and I got destroyed.
Yeah,
and being me was like, nope, I'm not losing this, and I like grinded through. And I was like, all right, got there, and then I went to the next gym, and I was like, why is this so easy? So,
and it was just you went in the wrong order, sir.
Right. I'm not gonna lie, I ended up looking online to see like, is there like an actual order to do this in?
I did that. I recently completed a Nuzlocke of the game, and
Really?
I looked up an order. Yeah, I was on Twitch.tv streaming this Nuzlocke, and I wanted to make sure because I like when I'm playing Nuzlocks to set a level cap to match the gym leaders that I'm facing.
There were a couple of close calls because of that.
Hey, we lost a handful of good men in that war. R.I.P. to the homie Clive. Deuces to my dude Divitox. Prayers up for my guy Bear. And then rip to Mr. Chicken. All 4 fallen soldiers, never forgotten.
I'm impressed you got all the names in flow.
When you do a Nuzlocke, you're forced to nickname your Pokemon, and you create a bond with these Pokemon that lasts a gameplay. Alrighty? An entire playthrough it lasts. And we're still fresh off that playthrough, so the scars are very real. Thank you. But, it helped to see the order. The order doesn't necessarily follow the way the map is set up, considering the map is just a giant circle with kind of different gyms and other events scattered about. So one of the traditional things that does come back in this game is the fact that you have to challenge 8 gyms, collect the badges, and then challenge the Elite Four. That's a mainstay of Pokemon. I don't know what they were doing with Sun and Moon. They were trying some funky stuff, but we're back to basics now. 8 badges, take care of business.
But the way that they do it is different now because they give you challenges and stuff to do along with it, and those challenges started in Sun and Moon.
And I honestly wish they kept those challenges in Sun and Moon.
I think a couple of them were cool.
It actually started I really enjoyed the
olive one
challenge where you had to push the olive around. Yeah, you had to basically push an oblong 3D object in a broken game through a maze, and it was interesting at the very least, and it made me have to actually pay attention. But then, for example, one of the gym challenges later in the game is you have to basically play Guitar Hero with your emotions.
Oh, it was so bad.
And it literally would say, press A, and then it gave you a 10-second window to press A. And then be like,
it was so
press
laggy.
Y. And you get a 10-second window to press Y. And you had to press, I want to say, 10 or 15 buttons. And it was just 5 minutes of wasted time. And really, you know what my favorite gym challenge ended up being? Was the gym challenge where you just fought 3 trainers. And that was the challenge. Just do a couple of battles. And I'm talking about the Montenevra Ghost Gym, where you got to do the double battles.
That was cool.
The only place in the entire game that you can do double battles is at this gym. And, go figure, the legal format for competitive Pokemon is doubles. and you only get to take part in a total of like 5 doubles battles in the game, and you can't do any more.
Yeah, I mean the fights with Arven, but it's 2v1, not 2v2.
Right. And you're on the 2 side, so you're at like a supreme advantage.
Right.
Speaking of Arven, there's another story element to this game. Maybe some would argue the best story element to the game.
Oh, Arven's story is the best. There is
tell us,
like anyone that doesn't say that's true is literally just wrong. I will die on this hill.
So what is Arven's story? Without spoiling too much.
Arven has someone very important to him that he has to help get better. Well, let's just say it doesn't necessarily go as he had hoped for at first. And there's a very emotional final scene to that part of the story.
Oh, not a dry eye in the house.
I cried.
I
teared up. I cried.
Yeah. My girlfriend had to put the game down and walk away. She literally was sobbing after seeing that scene.
It's a real story that happens to people in real life outside Pokemon.
Right.
So like, and we have both experienced that story.
Right.
Like, but in the negative. So like seeing it turn out for the positive was really emotional because I sat there like, I know how he feels, and I wish that I got to experience the part after that feels, because the feels changed for him and they did not for us, and it was really good.
Yeah, really a special story. Arven's story, just to expand a little, takes you across the Paldea region, and it tasks you with finding a special medication, and in doing so, you encounter special types of Pokemon that you interact with, and
you basically unlock your HMs that way.
Yeah, they
like literally HMs.
Yeah, with each completed segment of this Titan storyline, it is you unlock a new ability in the game that helps you traverse the island of Paldea. We should, I guess, mention that moving around in this game, you have 2 options. You can either walk like a plebeian, or you can ride on your really super cool box legendary Pokemon that you get right out the gate. And at first, all it can do is jog and baby jump.
Oh my gosh, it was so bad.
It's pretty bad.
It felt really bad, and then you felt really powerful very shortly after that.
And with each little bit of medicine, you get a little stronger, and a little bit stronger. You eventually learn how to glide. I've heard it called falling with style, and you can climb, and it really turns into Breath of the Wild by the late game.
It really does. It feels so good. You're just like free roaming everywhere.
Yeah, and like just moving in the game feels good,
which is rare for that game.
Yeah, just being able to move around the way you can in the game, it feels good, and I think that is one of the most important factors when thinking about like why is this game fun, because literally your minute to minute just movement in the game feels good, and listen, it's basically a built-in fidget spinner, because you can jump, hit the A button to glide but not do anything, unglide, and keep jumping. Like, listen, I'm one of those people, if I'm playing like a game and there's a jump button, I'm almost always jumping while I'm moving.
ABJ.
Jump. ABJ. Practice your ABJs, kids. Always be jumping. And, that's what I do in this game too. Now, for posterity's sake, which version of the game did you play?
I have Violet.
Okay, and my primary game was Pokemon Scarlet. So between the two of us, we've experienced it all. Yep. There is one more story of the triple story element. Matt, what's that final story all about?
I mean, your 3 stories are you've got Arven, Save the Buddy, you've got
Save the World.
You've got I'm gonna be the savior of the world. I'm gonna get my gym badges and also take out Team Star.
Oh shoot! Who's Team Star?
Team Star. Well, I mean, at least at the beginning, you think they're the bad guys. I don't think this is really a spoiler at this point to say that Team Star isn't exactly the bad guys.
Listen, just because they're bad guys doesn't mean they're bad guys.
Right. I mean, Wreck-It Ralph is a bad guy, but he's the good guy. And Team Star kind of, in their own way, pulls that storyline.
Yeah, a little ambiguous, and I think they get off very easily given the circumstances.
Well,
kind of.
Team Star's story is super nonsensical to the point where it's like, so like reckless endangerment is like the base of the story,
right?
So like for the university to be like,
and supreme negligence,
right? Like parents are just like, oh, my kid joined Team Star, and you can literally go talk to parents in the game that are like, oh, they joined Team Star. Wow, I'm happy they're making friends. And it's like, you realize they're living in a shack in like what resembles Woodstock, right? No, you don't. Oh, so you don't contact them. Got it. So you don't know any of what. Your son is 9 years old.
Except that's not even necessarily true, because one of the characters, who's one of the leaders of Team Star, their dad is like, by the way, I'm going to swing by and pick you up for piano lessons later. Have fun with your friends. I
didn't realize that was his dad.
Yeah.
That makes it so much better. Like, so much worse, but so much better.
If it's not, it's his dad.
I thought it was just like, I thought that was the piano teacher.
I think he was the former director of the university.
He was the former director of the university, but now he just teaches in piano. I thought was the way that went.
But he was just like, yo, Ortega, piano lessons in an hour. Catch you later. Which was way too casual for someone in a disciplinary position, or at least a former disciplinary position. That really kind of took me out of it a little bit. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, there were a couple of moments in that specific storyline. Like, Nimona, I think, is probably the best rival since Silver.
Right. I think Nimona, a lot of people online kind of give her like the How treatment, where she's like the hopelessly positive like trainer, except like I think she's a little deeper than that.
I mean, she is, but she like explains why.
Right.
How was just like, I love everything. And it was like, so you're not going to talk about the fact that someone that resembles the professor with no shirt on just ran by and everyone's chasing after him. Also the fact that like you're living in the shadow of, like, you have this entire story that is just there waiting to be told. But nope, I'm going to run up the hill and catch you later. What? No. What? How? Why? Literally how. The name how. Why?
Meanwhile, Nimona's like, her goal over the course of the game is for you to eventually outclass her as a trainer, which, let's be real, that level 5 battle on the beach should have said it all. But she basically spends the whole game, you catch this story about Nimona, who really I would consider the primary rival in the game.
Yeah.
Her consistently like gassing you up and saying, listen, I want you to be the best trainer on the island.
Right. She hypes you up so much, so many times, that I was afraid that I was like, she's the villain, isn't she? She's secretly the villain. Because I was like, there's no way this person is this good. And then there's some subtext that I feel like people aren't catching, that like Nimona doesn't realize what she's doing. And then later in the story, they characters are explaining to her, like, you can't act like this. People don't understand what you're doing. They think you're nuts. And she has this like crisis where she's like, oh man, they really don't like that, huh? And then she steps back from battling and starts organizing more things, and then realizes like, wait, you're my one true rival, actually, back on it. And then like, but there is some actual depth to that.
Meanwhile, she's also super humble despite her high energy.
Right.
She never once is the person to tell you Nemona is actually the strongest trainer on the island. However,
Right.
multiple
She's always
other
gassing up. She's always gassing up La Primera, and it's like, no, actually, La Primera is kind of bad.
even like the Elite Four, like final, I don't know what her title is, chairperson.
She's the champion.
She's
like the
right.
head champion.
She's like the head champion, and she's like, listen, my sister's actually the champion. I know that when we were fighting, she was holding back, and she still smoked me. And
Wait, they're sisters?
yes, they are sisters.
When do they tell you that?
It's in the end game. They mention it in text. I think it's like 1 or 2 lines.
How did I miss this? See, this is learning new things here.
Listen, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I really think that they are sisters. When they're talking, they mention something about like the family business, and how like Gita's like, Nemona's not one for running the family business like I am. It's a line like that.
I hate to break this to you, Bill.
Yeah.
When you go to Google, the first thing that pops up are Gita and Mona related? And apparently in India, there are famous people named Gita and Mona, and I am struggling to find the answer right now.
It's okay. Google said, did you mean are Pneumonia and Gita sisters?
Yes. Yep.
And yes, that is what I meant to say. You know, Pneumonia and Gita are the main character. Yes, that is accurate right there. I think it's a little, at best it's ambiguous, but
it's so it looks like they imply that she could be the sister, but it's not absolutely stated that they are. But that's still more than I thought.
Yeah, I my heart says they are, even if they come out later and say they're actually not. They are.
There are a lot of people. Oh, here's a theory that I'm finding while doing this.
Let's hear it.
Remember Adaman from Legends Arceus, Captain Blue Boy?
Yeah, Captain Blue Boy.
Supposedly, Adaman is the ancestor of Gita.
Well, Adaman does not look like Kermit the Frog. Meanwhile, Gita does. So, checkmate? They do both wear the color blue, though, so in Pokemon, that literally trumps all, means everything.
At least according to that person on Reddit. All right, back to topic.
So what were we talking about again? Pokemon? Video games? With each new Pokemon game, they come out with a new mechanic for battling. In Generation 6, we got Mega Evolutions. In Generation 7, we got Z moves. In Generation 8, we got Dynamax and Gigantamaxing. This gimmick, I think, is the best of all 4, because it kind of combines the 4 prior ones and kind of, without making them too overpowered. The ability, or the mechanic is called terastallizing your Pokemon, where they gain this crystal energy, which converts whatever type they are to the type of their, called their Tera type. And they basically get an added same type attack bonus for any moves that match that Tera type. And they also lose
their regular types, unless the Tera type is one of the regular types.
However, they maintain their initial stab, if that makes sense.
If you Tera into rock type and you're a grass type, your grass moves still get stab?
They still get stab.
I didn't know that. I thought that Tera into the other type removes the stab from the
It
other
does
types.
not remove stab. Your stab stays intact.
What? How did I just figure? How did I
which
just
makes
learn this?
sense. Which makes sense, right? Because, you know, if that weren't the case, then why would anybody terastallize into a type they already were? So you get
type coverage.
You get stab
or keeping stab.
Well, no. Yeah. So, but like, what would be the benefit of terastallizing?
Do you understand how much my worldview just changed?
I hope
everything is different. Everything I thought I knew was a lie.
You know, I'm here to ruin your life, and I'm just gonna do it one word at a time. Fire Emblem Engage.
You can't do that while I take a sip of water, Bill. I just did the thing.
Colgate Chip Skylark, baby.
Oh my gosh. Always when I'm drinking. Now my nose tastes like lemonade. Or smells like lemonade.
So the terastallizing, I think, is a really cool mechanic. I like the ability to take any Pokemon at all and change them into any other type. And it really adds a lot of depth to Pokemon battles. And, you know, you could either make your Tera type, you know, offensive to help out your own moves, or you can even say, hey, I'm an electric type, but I'm going to have a flying Tera type. So when a Pokemon tries to use a ground type attack on me, psych, I'm in the air with balloons, baby!
Yeah, it's pretty cool how much depth it adds to competitive, because, like...
There's a lot of chess pieces you gotta...
You can only do it once per battle.
Right.
And because of that, it keeps it so, like...
But any of your 6 Pokemon have the ability to terastallize,
which I
battle.
like, because the whole, like, hold the Mega Stone thing was just like, alright, so...
It shoehorned your battles into very specific
because then you were
situations.
like, alright, I want to have access to one of these two, but then I can't use the other if I do this one, which means I don't have an item on it. So, like, there's this weird tension there. Some people said that was good. I didn't like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like that's...
I always felt like I was losing if I had more than one Mega on my team. And it just... That's not... If the design of the gimmick makes you not want the gimmick to be part of the game because it feels like you're losing when you do it, then there's a problem.
Right.
You could only Dynamax once a battle, but you didn't lose items to do that. And
right.
Like,
and just, could any Pokemon Dynamax? I don't remember.
Any Pokemon could Dynamax, but not all of them could Gigantamax.
Right. Certain Pokemon had a special Dynamax form, which is kind of...
That part was kind of like Megas.
Yeah, I feel like that's like...
But it didn't use up an item slot. And
right.
At the baseline, everyone could do it. And the difference for the Gigantamax ones was that they had a unique move.
Right, you ended up getting a signature move out of it.
But otherwise everyone could do it.
Right, your stats didn't...
The only stat that got boosted was your HP.
Is it your HP?
It was your HP, yeah.
So, and the difference between...
It doubled your HP, I want to say, or was it 1.5? I forget now.
Did Gigantamax and Dynamax increase that HP by the same percentage?
I think so.
It was just whether or not you had a special form when you Dynamaxed.
And whether or not you had, like, a unique move. Like, Lapras's unique move was insane.
Yo, Lapras, when it Gigantamaxed, just looks insane. It gets, like, a whole musical... aura around it. Yeah, it's just kind of crazy.
It was kind of cool that they took the two parts of Lapras's, like, uniqueness, which is, like, the whole... It can make the veil, like, the Aurora Veil.
Right.
And it can sing to knock things to sleep. And they were like, what if we just put those things together? It was cool. But yeah, I think Terastallize is, as a mechanic, I think better. I wish that there was some, like, individuality and that the animations didn't take half an eon.
Right.
But the gameplay is good.
Yeah, no, the game definitely is a little bit slower than previous entries of Pokemon, but again, that's in part due to a lot of just like unskippable things. You can't turn battle animations off in this game. You can't change battle mode to set in this game. So there's a couple of like quality of life things that should exist as options, but for some inexplicable reason don't exist.
There are knobs and sliders that they should have that they don't.
Right, like knobs and sliders that were in previous games.
Correct.
That are just not here for really no good reason, because it really doesn't hurt accessibility to the game by having these sliders.
I question the degree to which they could really truly make this game accessible, though, by nature of it being as open as it is.
Oh, I mean, you lose, for example, you lose basically the entire blind community.
Right. That's just the unfortunate nature. I think I saw Ross talk about this.
Yeah, so one of our friends, Ross Miner, he's a blind gamer and loves Pokemon. And, one of the cool things about Pokemon when it was still on, like, the grid-based movement system, and even to slightly a lesser extent, Generation 7, you would be able to walk around and your character would make noises when they bumped into walls, and using those wall bump noises,
bump sounds.
You'd be able to navigate throughout the game and successfully play the game even without sight, and that just doesn't exist anymore, which, to be fair, like, that's your double-edged sword for making a fully 3D game. And
yeah,
on balance, I would say it's not a bad thing that Nintendo is branching into this open world concept for Pokemon. It is really just the next logical step for expanding gameplay, but it is unfortunate that you do lose some people along the way. And Pokemon Legends Arceus was more of the same with that as well, where Pokemon Legends Arceus was not an open world game, but the areas were large enough where it definitely was open area at the very least.
Yeah. It was trying to be open world, but with loading zones.
I still don't understand why Megazosa has its own special loading zone. Makes no sense to me.
Inside the school?
Inside the city. It's the only place in the game where you have to load into it. Everywhere.
There are a couple of other places that have cutscenes.
What do you mean?
You have the... what is it called? Carafa? What is it called?
But when you go into the city, just exploring the city, not being held back with any story elements, you can fully openly explore it.
Yeah, but the elevator things...
That is just a mechanic when you interact with the elevator. You can just jump off or climb the walls, and you don't have to...
I guess that's fair.
...wait for anything there.
Is that really the only place?
That and it's Megazosa and Area Zero are the only two places that have a completely separate load-in. Area Zero makes sense because it's basically loading an entirely new map.
Inside the school makes sense too, but the city confuses me.
Yeah, but right, it's Megazosa as a city that you cannot, like, if you're in Megazosa and you try to jump over a wall to get into the water around the city, it does create a loading screen.
Huh.
Yeah, I would argue that most players don't notice it because you get the ability to fast travel real quick, and most people to get into Megazosa just fast travel.
Actually, now that you say that, there are a couple of spots I don't think I fully explored around there because I just fast travel everywhere now.
Right.
There's a ramp that goes into the river that I'm thinking of. I don't think I ever went back there.
You're going to have to go check it out. There's probably a potion. A potion.
Yeah,
maybe even
a whole potion.
Maybe like TM for, I don't know, helping hand. It's just chilling there.
Wow.
Water gun. Like, really one of the heavy hitters. Ooh, listen, Grass Knot's at least viable.
Not really.
Not really.
Well, an Energy Ball and Seed Bomb exist.
So, a couple other things I wanted to mention about the game.
Yeah.
Real quick. One, the music's an absolute banger festival. It is...
Oh, yeah. Toby Fox. That's all you need to know.
Chef's kiss, baby. The music in the opening area... The final battle music, and most of the songs in between, whether Toby touched them or not, the soundtrack of this game is definitely one of its strongest aspects.
Yep.
It's just fantastic. The Tera Raid battles, which we'll talk about in a sec.
They're glitchy, but they're great.
The music for Tera Raids is
amazing.
So incredible. It had to be, right? Because it's the one thing that players, basically, once you beat the game, it's the one thing you do after the fact is you're doing these Tera Raids because they give you items that are exclusive to the Tera Raids or cost a lot of money. So
Oh,
you're
the
grinding
bottle
those.
caps. Yeah.
Oh, the Herba Mystica, baby. Listen,
Yeah,
those
you
Herba
need
Mystica
those.
are important because what are you using those Herba Mystica for?
Egg farming and shiny hunting and things.
It's
Hunting.
it's
If you're hunting for a thing,
it's
basically.
it's almost exclusively shiny hunting, and that's one thing that this game opens up more wide than just about any game prior. Pokemon have these really unique Pokemon that exist that basically are a normal Pokemon in every other way except that their color is a little bit different. And traditionally, you have about a 1 in 4,000 chance of encountering what's called a shiny Pokemon. And this game, because you're encountering Pokemon at such a high clip, with the numbers being the same, your odds of encountering shiny Pokemon feel a little higher. And you can use Herba Mystica.
Well, it's not even that they feel higher. It's just that
I mean, by the numbers, you just are seeing more Pokemon.
the frequency per Pokemon may be the same, but you see so many more Pokemon, like you said, that the probability skyrockets.
Right. Over the course of a normal playthrough in, older Pokemon games that had, random encounters, you're probably only encountering, 400 to 500 Pokemon max in a playthrough. Like realistically.
Right. I had only ever encountered one shiny Pokemon that was not the Lake of Rage Gyarados before Legends Arceus.
Yeah.
And then Legends Arceus was like, hey, we're going to up the shiny stuff.
And
Legends
Arceus,
they were like, let's keep that trend going.
Legends Arceus, I think, made it the easiest. Legends Arceus, not only would a Pokemon appear shiny while you're exploring, but they would also
like a cue to know that there was.
There would be both a visual and an audio cue where you'd see stars form around the Pokemon and you'd hear a little jingle. Those don't exist in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and I know a lot of people who played Arceus and then played Violet are like, hey...
Yeah, I wish they brought that back.
But I also think two different teams worked on the games, so... And the two games clearly run on two different engines.
Yeah.
So... I
there
don't
are some
think
graphical things that would be better about Scarlet Violet otherwise.
Yeah, it's not a one-to-one copy and paste at all, which is fine. I'd rather have a dedicated team for the Legends series if it becomes a series.
It better become a series. That game was too good to not be a series.
I mean, I like Pokemon Legends, I think, more than I liked Pokemon Scarlet and Violet at the end of the day. But they're both entirely incredible. Matt and I on stream a couple of weeks ago talked about our favorite games of 2022, and
yeah, those were the two best.
The top two games were Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I think I had Legends Arceus ranked just above, and I think Matt had Scarlet and Violet ranked just above.
Yeah, but just barely. Those two games, I have not been engrossed in anything like those two games in a long time.
I'll tell you this: I have over 250 hours in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and I think I'm sitting at about 300 hours in Arceus as well. The games are just that good. And
they are two of the best games on the Switch.
I mean, if
it's
you
like
have
those, Odyssey, Breath of the Wild.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, literally it.
No love for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Are you kidding me?
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a Wii game. Wii U game.
Absolutely ridiculous. No love for Fire Emblem Three Houses, as it should be. That was your list.
Oh, no, I loved Fire Emblem Three Houses. It is not, to me, it is not on the same level as those four other games.
That's fair.
And I like Fire Emblem. I played through Fire Emblem. I beat that story. I went back and played another story, too.
Ooh, I got one.
Yeah.
That I would put on that list.
Yep.
Octopath Traveler. It's not an exclusive anymore, but at the time,
I would say it's just a little underneath it. And Octopath Traveler is one of my favorite games.
The game is incredible, and the fact that there's a sequel coming out.
Oh, we're gonna be talking about that in the future. That's for sure.
Oh, you already know. You already know. I sent Matt the master list of games that we've talked about so far, and games that we still have to talk about. And
oh man,
we got some juicy topics for the future. We even have some topics for the future that are not any one game specific.
They're like video game adjacent.
Yeah, they're more about video gaming as a culture, or like parts of video gaming culture as opposed to just a single game. So really excited to move on.
Excited for those. Those are going to be interesting. Those are like meta topics.
So I have one parting question for you for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, unless you have some more things you want to add to the conversation for now.
What you got?
What's your favorite Pokemon?
Oh, Clodsire, easy.
Clodsire.
Pooper, Paldean Wooper, into Clodsire.
Clodsire.
Best combo.
Clodsire's so good.
I love Clodsire.
So good.
I really like salamanders. Axolotls are my favorite animal. And the fact that they were like, Wooper needs a new variant. I hated Paldean Wooper when I first saw it. I was like offended. I was like, how dare you do this to Wooper? And then I watched it walk around in the environment, and I was like, I was wrong.
Give Wooper a chance.
Oh, I love it. It's so good.
I think my favorite Pokemon is the Pokemon that literally got so mad that it died, and has vowed vengeance on life itself.
Annihilate is
Annihilate
next on my list. Right after that, I loved Primeape. I thought Primeape was so cool, but it always sucked. It was terrible. But Annihilate is sick.
Is one of the most raw Pokemon that Nintendo or Game Freak has had the audacity to create, and it is.
Oh my gosh! It literally flexes and rages while it does Rage Fist.
It's so
like
mad.
You literally get to see the veins. It's so
its
good.
signature move is called Rage Fist. That literally just gets more powerful as you attack it.
The more times it gets hit, the stronger the move gets. I have one last Pokemon to add to the list, though.
Yeah.
Toadscruel.
Toadscruel's an interesting Pokemon. It's a Pokemon
I love watching Toadscruel run. It's the goofiest thing. It is a mobile mushroom, and I love it. And it is accurate to its source.
That's true.
They did a really good job with it, and I was like shocked.
I'll say this: they really switched things up a little bit in this game. Starting in Generation 7, they introduced regional form Pokemon, where the Pokemon's name would just become, the region.
Alolan whatever.
Yeah, so for Alola, it'd be like Alolan Muck. For Galar, it'd be Galarian Weezing. But for this game, they introduced not only regional variants, but
parallel evolutions.
Yeah, parallel evolutions, which, I mean, I understand why they did it.
I don't, honestly. Well, it gives you more control over the types.
They also wanted to, have Diglett in the game, but then also Wiglet.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I hadn't thought of that. It gives you the ability to have both in the same. I mean, you could still have both in the same game. You could have Diglett and Wiglet as
right.
Just you could just make them different forms. There's 3 different Tauros.
It's true.
And they're different. Their types are different.
But they're all Tauros.
Right. So you could have Beach Diglett and
But those
Diglett.
Tauros are Paldean Tauros. You know what I'm saying? They're regional variants.
True.
Wooper is also a regional variant.
Yeah.
But then you have Wiglet and Toadscruel.
Wugtrio. Can we agree that Wugtrio is one of the worst names ever in Pokemon?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's one of the worst Pokemon in Pokemon. I wanted to love it more.
Wiglet. I like Wiglet. I think Wugtrio was...
Wiglet may be one of the worst.
They dropped the ball.
Wiglet may just be one of the worst Pokemon that exists.
We're gonna disagree on that one.
Well, here's the thing.
Wugtrio I'm on board with. I was really disappointed when it evolved. I was like, no, go back.
Jeez. I like its signature move, that triple hit, but the Pokemon's just such a janky Pokemon that I don't like it.
It doesn't make sense.
It's like, let's just copy and paste Doug Trio's Pokemon. Doug Trio.
But make it make less sense.
Right. Like, they're like, let's make it worse. Like, somehow it's worse than Doug Trio, and I don't like that.
Yeah. Mistakes made.
Yeah. Next, just be better. DLC will be coming out probably at the end of the year. There's a large mass in the game that is undefined and inaccessible. And, I mean, what else could it be than DLC planned for the future? TBD on whatever that becomes. But for now, we got a 7-star Greninja Tera Raid where you and up to 3 of your friends can work together to fight a boss Pokemon and potentially catch it. Yeah, any other final thoughts on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet?
I love the game. It is the only Pokemon ever that I have wanted to actually complete the Pokedex. I have never, ever wanted to do that. And now I do.
Yeah,
I feel like that's enough. That's it.
This is, before this and Legends Arceus, the last time I completed even the regional decks was probably in Pokemon Platinum, back in whenever that came out, like 2006 or whatever?
Yeah, it's around there.
Give or take. That was probably the last time I completed a regional dex. The only time I've completed a national dex is in Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. Maybe Gold and Silver. Maybe Gold and Silver, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, you got me beat there.
Yeah. But yeah, Pokemon Scarlet Violet available on the Nintendo Switch. If you have a Nintendo Switch, this is a must-play. If you ever heard of a Pokemon, you should play the dang game. Check it out.
Oh, we can be honest. If they're listening right now, they probably have it.
Yeah, and the game's a banger. Just agree with us. Go on twitter.com/gamesofourpod and just tell us how much you love Pokemon because it's so good. And you'll trick us into thinking that y'all are listening all the way through this podcast, baby. Let's go. And tip of the hat to you listeners who've made it this far so far. We call that a forced segue. It's time for tip of the hat, wag of the finger. And I'm going to open with a quick tip of the hat because dibsies.
Yeah, go for it.
Tip of the hat to you, Matt, for being here, and to the show in general, to Season 2 of the Games of Our Live. Ghoul Squad continues.
Teen Ghoul Squad.
Teen Ghoul Squad. I'm cheerleader. Who do you want to be of the Teen Ghoul Squad?
Probably What's-Her-Face.
I guess that leaves Tony as so-and-so, and then...
We'll pass on the ugly one.
Listen, we probably rotate between the three of us. The ugly one! Listen, I've been the ugly one plenty of times. Wag of the finger to me, my past self, for being the ugly one sometimes. It do happen, though. Matt, do you have a tip of the hat to kick us off?
I have AGDQ.
Hey!
So there was a runner at it. He was running Super Mario Galaxy 2, and he beat his own world record live at AGDQ.
Oh, that's sick.
80,000 people were watching.
I feel like you don't always see people like set world records
at
AGDQ.
You very rarely do.
Because it's a live event.
Because they intentionally make it a safer run, so they'll do things like save the game in places that they would normally just skip.
Right.
Because you're better off losing 5 minutes of time and keeping it within your estimate. They managed to beat Galaxy 2 in 2 hours, 54 minutes, and 51.33 seconds. That's 2 seconds faster than their previous record.
Wow.
Which is crazy. And at said AGDQ, they raised... Do you know how much they raised?
At least $12.
$2.6 million for the Prevent Cancer Foundation.
Sheesh! Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
It is. It's insane.
That's wild.
Crazy. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, no, GG's to you folks at
AGDQ.
At AGDQ, man. That's
awesome games
crazy.
Done quick.
Yeah, and awesome money raised. Big hype. Let's go.
Yep. Yeah, insane. We have some... Oh, sorry. You have
I have a tip of the hat. as well. So I got a tip of the hat to the Nintendo company for just like a good on you, mate. Nintendo Switch was 2022's best-selling game console in the United States. And
that's impressive considering this is year
5 or 6.
6?
I think
in March it'll be 6.
Yeah, we are finishing year. Are we finishing year 6? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We are finishing year 6. Year 7 starts in March. Oh my gosh. The Switch has been out for 7 years. Isn't that freaking crazy?
That is wild.
Like, that's... And as of... Let's see. It already is Nintendo's best-selling home console ever. The Switch, which is just wild.
Is it just the best-selling console ever?
No.
What beats it? PlayStation 1?
I think PS2.
PS2?
PS2, and I want to say possibly the Xbox 360.
Yeah, those two are pretty ubiquitous. They were everywhere.
But, yeah, good on the Switch, man.
The idea that I never thought would be possible after watching the original trailer for it, I was like, there's no way this is real.
Yeah, I think...
And then it was.
I think PS4 actually edges out the Switch as well. But PS2... Switch could get there. Switch could absolutely get there.
It's also doing this with one version. Well, I shouldn't say that. The OLED exists and the Lite
and the Switch
exists.
Lite exists.
But there's no Pro.
Right. I guess people could consider the OLED the Pro version of the game for now.
It's got the same processor.
Yeah, but it's the sexy version of the Switch.
That is true. And the screen size difference matters, and I know you can make whatever jokes you want.
Heyo.
Have fun with it. Phrasing. I do have some wagging.
Oh, shoot! All right, wag away.
Okay, so, man, I wanted to tell you this earlier, but I'm happy that you're going to be surprised about it now.
Yeah.
Speaking of The Last of Us, the director of The Last of Us called for unionization after not being credited by HBO.
The director?
The director of the game, Last of Us.
Oh.
The game's co-director, Bruce Straley, was not credited by HBO for the show.
How? What? Like, how do you mess that up? How do you fumble that bag?
Great question.
So hard.
I wish I could tell you, but they did not reference the creators of Last of Us in the credits for the show.
That's so embarrassing. That's like... Man, that makes me kind of not want to watch The Last of Us on HBO now.
Oh, I still think it's worth watching. I also think it's worth yelling at HBO.
Man, what a bummer.
And I've got one other wag of the finger.
Yeah, drop another wag for us.
Wizards of the Coast.
They have a long-standing wag on this channel.
I could do an entire episode on all the things that I think are so bad about Hasbro. Because they own Wizards of the Coast.
What has Watka done lately?
WotC decided that... So did you hear about the OGL? It's like the license change, the license system they have for Dungeons & Dragons, where like companies can basically build your own Dungeons & Dragons. So there's a bunch of other games that are basically just Dungeons & Dragons variants.
Okay.
But they're like licensed. You know, they're allowed. WotC internally proposed amendments to that would basically destroy the entire community. And they accidentally let that slip. It wasn't supposed to be a thing that people found out about. So people like complained, and their response was at first just no response. Then they got 10,000 complaints. Like more, honestly, but that's like, it says at least 10,000 complaints. And then they realized that people were upset because the smaller studios who keep D&D running basically were like, we will have to pay all these royalties and we'll have no like power over making our own like mods for it. So they put out a statement that says, it was never our intent to impact the vast majority of the community. However, it's clear from the reaction that we rolled a 1.
Wow, you can't just say it. That's like so tone deaf.
Yeah. And even like trying to make the D&D pun at the end, they were probably like, "Oh, you know what? It'll feel like, you know what? My bad, buddy. I'm sorry." But no one looks at them as buddy.
You can't be like a multi-million-dollar company and then like, hello, fellow kid.
Right. They were walking in with their skateboard looking like they were 70.
Like, come on, man.
If we
were watching Monday Night Football on ESPN, this would be number 1 on boogers. Come on, man.
Yeah, it was bad. And like, there's more to it than just that. There's even more afterwards. But I think that's where it can close for now.
Yeah, wag of the finger to Wizards of the Coast, colloquially here, WotC, for just being.
This is after a whole year of making mistakes with Magic products, God, so it's just get your ish together.
What a shambolic company.
You got any other wags?
Do I have any other wags? Yeah, I do have wags, and this one's gonna hurt your soul because I already kind of talked about it earlier. And you already know what it is. We already talked about it a little bit the other day. But I still need to bring it up because it needs to be said out loud as much as it's going to hurt people's feelings. For those who are playing Pokemon and are a big fan of doing the Tera Raids, Azumarill is not the answer to every Tera Raid.
That's just true.
Belly drumming is a high-risk situation, and you should not assume that your fellow teammates are going to have your back. Just go in. The only person that you can look out for is yourself. Unless you have a teammate who is there to help you, and you know for a fact that someone's got your back, don't go into an Among Us raid.
Oh, that was just bad choice.
With an Azumarill. Because, listen, it's tough in these streets. It may be your only level 100 Pokemon, and I'd rather you bring any level 100 Pokemon into a Tera Raid than like a level 60 good matchup, because you're still going to get absolutely shriggity-shreked. But, like, there's a website out there called terastal.net that you can literally plug in any of the information of any Tera Raid that you've got. It's going to spit out...
Except the Greninja Raid.
Yeah, well,
because it's not there yet.
It's not there yet, right?
And is it there yet?
Jeez, I don't know. Let's see, terastal.net. Are there any other water dark Pokemon right now? Greninja is on Terastal.
What?
Yep. So I just clicked on filter search by type, clicked water and dark, and Greninja pops up on the thing, saying that Steel and Dark are the best.
Oh, it is there.
Are the best matchups here, which
it's not by name though. I tried searching for Greninja and it wasn't there.
Which, let's be real, King Gambit, the homie, might be a good Pokemon for this this matchup.
I mean, Thunder Wave is going to be real good against it.
It's nice to have 4 resistances and 2 immunities. I mean, you're still going to get hit pretty hard by water type moves. It is primarily a special attacker, which I did not realize. I really thought Greninja was more of a physical attacker, but it's kind of like a split situation, which...
Nah, his spec attack stat was higher. And the Water Shuriken, was a special move.
Right.
Did he have Technician? It didn't have Technician, did it?
No, but Water Shuriken, if I'm not mistaken, acts very similar to...
Bullet Seed?
No, not Bullet Seed. What's the bug type move? Is it Fury Swipe? Where it just gets stronger with each use?
Fury Cutter.
Or Fury Cutter. Oh, no, it's a priority move that... Oh, it hits 2 to 5 times.
Yeah, I thought it was Priority Bullet Seed.
It's Priority Bullet Seed. That is exactly what it is. And...
Good move is good.
I guess it has a high crit chance as well.
Okay. So I guess that's the fix for it, because, the strat with my Breloom is loaded dice, Spore, and then Bullet Seed.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Speaking of this, we've obviously been talking a lot about Pokemon today. last segment that we like to wrap up the show with is talking about what games we've been playing this week. And I feel like it's fair to say that the two of us, just as an automatic, have both been playing a lot of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet this past week.
I got the Ruinous Pokemon.
Hey, you got to be close to getting that dex filled then.
We're around 300 caught.
Okay, we're getting there. It's 400 total for the dex, I believe.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah, I'm almost there.
You're schmoovin'. You are absolutely schmoovin'. What other games besides Pokemon have you been playing this week?
Little Gator game.
Ooh, LGG.
Game made me cry.
And just brief synopsis on Little Gator game.
Imagine if you were playing Breath of the Wild and there was literally no consequence for anything. Like, you can't die. Your stuff doesn't break. Otherwise, it's just like silly Breath of the Wild, but with a really strong story behind it. Premise of the game is that you're a little gator and you're trying to like make this really awesome like Hero's Quest, like basically role play game, so that you can convince your sister who's home for like break from school to stop working on her work for school and to play with you and play the game you used to play with her, which is like Hero's Adventure or whatever. So like you round up the kids to try and build this awesome like village thing at the playground. So you have to run around the island and find your friends and have them help you out. You do quests for them and stuff. It's really fun. It's a short game. It takes like 4 to 6 hours if you're trying to 100% it.
I am 100% going to play this game by the time we next record for this podcast. You've talked it up.
It's a quick play.
You've talked it up so much that I just can't. I can't help myself.
I might learn how to speedrun the game because I love the game so much.
I mean, it's a 3D platformer that looks like it combines a short hike, which was another indie banger from a couple years back, with Breath of the Wild, and frankly, it's right up my alley. I love to see it, so I'm excited to try it out.
It's a fun game.
As far as games that I'm playing, the only other game that I've really been playing, I've really been digging deep into Pokemon. But I did embark on a journey on my Twitch channel this week. I decided I wanted to play through every single Donkey Kong Country game on stream. So we began the marathon on Thursday. We beat Donkey Kong Country 1. We are smack dab in the middle of Donkey Kong Country 2. And the plan is to continue through with DKC 3, Donkey Kong Country Returns, and Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze with little ukulele at the end there. So
oh, thank God. I wasn't going to ask.
Oh, Ukulele and the Impossible Lair is the spiritual sequel to Tropical Freeze in my heart.
Okay.
I mean, literally, David Wise is in all 6 of those games. How could you?
Yep.
How could you not play them? David Wise, one of the goated video game composers.
Oh, he just, easy.
Maybe the goated in my heart.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's probably him and Toby Fox.
Him, Toby, and Yoko Shimomura, man. The three of them.
You know what? You're right. Those 3 are the holy trinity of composers for video games.
Yeah, like
I know that there are other ones that are amazing.
Listen, we love you, Koji. Not to take anything away from the wonderful Koji Kondo and the countless other.
Who's the composer for Golden Sun? The composer of Golden Sun also did some other games that were absolutely amazing.
Let's see, Motoi Sakuraba.
Sakuraba, yeah.
Did the Tales series, Star Ocean, Golden Sun, and Dark Souls.
Yeah, amazing.
That's pretty good.
That's a wide range.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. Also did a little did the Team Flare battle theme for Pokemon X and Y.
Really?
Yeah, ain't that something?
Huh.
Yeah, let's see. His most recent game that has come out that I would say is a big title. He did Tales of Arise.
Yep.
And Mario Golf Super Rush.
Yep. Yeah, he was one of the Camelot guys for a while.
I think he's still a Camelot guy.
Yeah. And you can hear it too. Like, if you close your eyes and you listen to Golden Sun music and then you listen to Mario Tennis music, you're like, those are the same.
Yeah, they're right there.
Yeah, prog rock.
But yeah, that's what I've been playing. And I think that's going to bring us to the end of the show. Matt, I want to thank you again so much for joining the show as the new co-host. So excited to talk more gaming with you.
Thankful to be here.
It feels good.
It really does.
Little pull back of the curtain. Matt and I usually have a phone call about once a week or once every 2 weeks. That literally is just what you listened to for the last 2 hours. And
yeah, this was a bit of a long one, I'm sure, but
hey, like here's to plenty more that are just like this.
Oh, I look forward to it.
I want to thank you, the listeners, for listening to the show. Really appreciate any feedback that we get either on iTunes, Spotify, or on Twitter or even YouTube. And it really means a lot to the show to get those ratings and thoughts from you guys. And listen, if you want to follow Matt on social media, you can find him on YouTube and Twitter at Battlon, BATTLEXON. If you need help in a video game, there's a chance that Matt posted some sort of tutorial about it on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, did it bother me enough to make a video is basically how that works.
He literally will hate post a puzzle that annoyed him.
How-to instructions. Wow, this level was dumb in Splatoon. You know what? I feel like other people struggled with it. Here's a video on how to do it. Wow, this thing should be easier in Pokemon. Here's how you do it.
And if you want to follow the show, you can follow the show at Games of Our Pod on Instagram, on Twitter. And if you want to follow me, Bill the Fajita, you can find me at Bill the Fajita on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, as well as the TikTok. I want to thank you all again for listening. And any last words, Matt?
No, just thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. I look forward to doing more in the future.
Well, have a wonderful night, everybody, and we will catch you all next time where we're going to talk about Joe and Max video game? Just kidding. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be awesome. See you next time.
See you next time.